these are just a few of the pirate queens here. You have someone like Grace O'Malley. She really felt that Ireland should be separated from Great Britain. So she would actually have a lot of battles with the Queen of England here. Now what Grace would do is she would marry a man, and a year and a day later we'd go, hey, thank you very much, I appreciate you, I'm going to kick you out and take all your stuff.
Oh, wow.
She actually obtained herself her own castle at one point. Now, the Queen ended up capturing her castle, her land, and I'm afraid a few of her kids at one point, so she actually wrote the Queen of England and said, look, you have my land, you have my castle, I really just want my kids back. As much as the Queen hated her, she also admired her in a way. So she ended up giving her kids back. But she didn't give her land back like they agreed to, so they went right back to fighting with one another.
Oh, wow.
They actually ended up passing away on the same day.
Oh.
Completely unrelated, but kind of interesting in a way.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, Anne Bonny and Mary Read, these ladies really had to blend in a way. Had this funny superstition back in the day that having a woman on board was considered bad luck. Probably because a few gentlemen happened to bring a few ladies on board and they weren't necessarily paying attention to said boat. And well, ended up crashing.
Oh.
And when the guys went up to them then and said, hey, well, how'd you crash that boat there? Must have been the girls we had on board.
Okay.
So they would actually disguise themselves to look like men.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Kind of their hair very short, perhaps talking a little deeper.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the most famous one out of this bunch, and the most successful one, has to be Shin Shin. Shin Shin. She was given 300 ships from her husband. He was a former pirate. She turned that into the largest pirate armada the world has ever seen. Now, Great Britain and China tried to stop her at one point. I'm afraid she just kind of laughed at that and ended up wiping them out. It got to a point where the Chinese government actually had to contact her and basically say, can you stop being a pirate? We're not making any money because of you. She said, well, 3 conditions. I want a lot of money. One of my ships I want to keep for myself. And all my men are free of all their crimes. I said, what are you, crazy? We're not doing that. So she goes, okay. Took over their main port for an entire week. Took everything coming in and out. A week later, they ended up apologizing.
Here you go, stand over there.
And gave her everything she wanted.
Wow. That's interesting.
You know, when she retired, she had over 2,000 ships and over 70,000 sailors under her command, but I've actually heard it as high as 80,000. Personally, me, I wouldn't want to cross any of it.
No. No.
Right.
Right. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is so cool. I would be afraid to meet them back then.
These here are all donated by local divers. I think it's pretty cool. And this is how Mr. Hamlin would have looked like.
Wow. That's nice. And look at the fire on here. It looks real, like.
Yeah, it does.
I'm afraid he was very famous for this device behind you. Now this is a replica of one. This device here is actually called a thumb screw. So I'm afraid sometimes he would put your thumbs in there, and let's face it, sometimes not your thumbs. Very efficient way to get information out of people, kind of like, where's your money?
Wow.
Now this is a nice version of what people were afraid to tell you. They did perhaps that you may have used one of these to actually hang. So, you know, in a way, you'd be dangling by your thumbs.
Oh.
Alright.
You wouldn't have to torture me. I give you whatever you want. Tell you whatever you want to know.
We got someone coming up I think will be great for your YouTube video.
Yeah, can we? I was afraid to ask him like if we could like record him.
I'm afraid he's coming to meet you whether you like it.
Oh, okay. And what was your name?
Ryan.
Ryan,
Yes.
nice to meet you. I'm Missy. That's my husband
Missi.
Tom.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah. Our if you want to check it out, it's HakesCrew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, but thanks for being in this one
Yeah, thank you.
for us, and let's just
thanks
say,
for having
yeah, that's pretty good. Meet some of your very scary partners, other scary pirates. That.
Thinking you used to work with some of these gents.
Oh, the men.
Yeah.
They're not technically part. I thought you were with the girls.
Oh yeah. You want to get
I was
a
about 13 of them. No one's supposed to know about that.
get it?
So, are you making pictures?
Doing a video.
What'd you call it?
There'll be a moving picture they're working on.
Oh, moving pictures.
Yes.
All right, then. It's always amazing how those things work.
I did talk to them about the girls.
Margot.
I'm gonna stand
Yes.
next to him.
No, not your
Okay.
Margot.
the queen.
Better ones to talk about. So you don't know about those girls?
No.
I think you just got another one.
It's not making a picture. Oh, it's moving pictures.
Yeah.
So what did, oh, I see. Thanks, mate.
I guess I'm with you now. I stay here.
All right. See ya.
Okay. All right.
Really? I didn't even have to trade anything. So what did you think of these girls anyway?
Scary.
Really?
Yes.
The women?
They sound very dangerous.
Oh.
Yeah. They're not what I thought.
We'll figure it out.
Her.
Mhm.
Place to go.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across her?
No, she'd have been a child in my day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You would have even known to look for her. Aye, so it wasn't until sometime close to 1800 that she then worked on a floating brothel. And so that is how she meets him. Who would then become her husband eventually.
Oh, okay.
But not before she would make a deal. Because she said, yeah, that makes her all the more enticing to him. Aye? Remember, had a strumpet who he couldn't get. So this time, this one says, should you then share your fleet with me, I'll change my mind. To make a long story short. There you have it, eh? The deal has been made. But she accepts. Probably thinking nothing of it, she then learns the way of these pirates. Sort of makes their way of life even easier than before. Well, seems he is a lucky man, he's thinking. But then he goes into battle one day and dies, and she is still very young. She wants the whole fleet for herself.
Oh wow.
She had made the negotiation already. So it's a few stories that happen in between this point and her actually attaining those, and then a couple more before it even becomes this. As you already read, the most powerful pirate fleet in history. It took a lot of persuading. No one thought it would ever work. It's probably why no man ever tried. So as one woman says, it took a woman.
Mhm.
Can't argue with that, eh?
No.
Nope.
There be the proof. Most powerful pirate in history.
Nice.
Young
I
and
love it.
beautiful
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
blue. So, did you hear about that?
No.
No. Mm-mm.
So, Lot One Poos, which is what this story really focuses on, it's sort of the focus of the museum, I'd say. Reason being, it's never been recovered. Although a mate a few years back claimed to have found it, apparently it's been disproven. So, it lies in the harbour, buried in the silt and sand below the water. It's been over 300 years ago. Hey, it's older than me. So on it, it's believed to be, at least at the time before it sinks, 24,000 pounds of silver or so.
Wow.
Small fortune, eh?
Yeah.
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 That's just in my day. So there it is, and the story behind what happens is what this talks about. What I told you isn't actually mentioned there, right?
Right.
Okay.
It's part of the legends.
Nice.
Okay.
So, see what you think.
Thank you.
Aye. I'll see you in a bit.
All right.
You're at 39, are you?
I think
so.
you.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
afraid this riddle here, this hint, rather, is not very helpful at all.
Right.
Artists literally only used thieves in the title of the painting. All pirates were actually thieves.
Mhm.
There's actually only one thief on this boat that is not a pirate.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
This bird.
Oh. Because he's got like a necklace in
I'm
his.
afraid he's the only one currently stealing something. The rest of these gents either drinking or getting ready for battle.
Nice.
Get the rest of the stuff. Did you get this thing right here? Get it from all sides. Yeah, she is. We live there now. I'm originally from Ohio, but
All right, what part of
Yeah.
Ohio, man?
Columbus.
Willoughby.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Weren't you born in Willoughby?
Yeah. Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a small world.
It is. Yeah.
I lived here for the winter. I head all the way up to Alaska.
Oh wow.
Really?
Big difference.
That's awesome.
So what did you think, eh? Any questions about any of this stuff you saw?
No.
Really?
This
Nothing?
is-
Not even these?
What can you tell us about
we
them?
can, yeah.
Well, I can tell you the Navy says he found it. This maybe he doesn't want to say. I can tell you where they would be. They'd be on a ship like this tiny vessel. That is this particular size. They would not fire the cannonballs that you saw in there. Right? Cannonballs in there are for the big guns. I'd say probably about 6-pounders from the looks of them. Whereas what would fire out of these, you can see that the muzzle here, the barrel of that cannon, is too tiny for that. It'd be for grape shots.
Oh yeah.
Grape shots intended for the pig.
Okay.
As it were.
Okay.
So, where do you think they would be on a ship like this
What do you think?
is the right type of ship, just a tiny sloop.
Right down there?
Down around here.
So this would seem to be the most sensible. After all, these are the guns.
Right.
However, it's that.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Tiny guns above. These are going to fire 6 to 8 pounders. I'd say probably the 6 pounders like those. And these would weigh about 1,200 pounds each thing because they're firing 6 pounders. Whereas the one that you saw there is about 120 pounds, about a tenth of that. You can see they got different ships.
So the bigger ones are for shooting. The bigger ones are for shooting the ship. The smaller ones are for the men.
Right.
Okay.
And if they're
Okay.
firing another maybe chain shot from here or bar shot, he's got a chain shot right there. His mate's holding. Then it's going to be fired up a bit high, right into the mast. And the sails
Okay.
themselves. You can see they've taken quite a few shots that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, by the way, this has a riddle to it. It's called 40 Thieves. It's a bit of a trick. Did you figure it out already?
Oh, he told us.
The bird.
Not 40 pirates, 40 thieves.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So you found the pirate, or rather the thief who's not a pirate.
Yes.
Did you notice a girl aboard?
No.
Aye, there's a girl who's a pirate. One who's alive, of course, besides the figurehead there, who's a mermaid.
Yeah.
Say might be that person or this right here or
So I do know some girls who can grow hair on their face. This here girl is not able to. She's too young yet. So that means it can't be him, nor this one there, nor that one, although he's maybe the least ugly of the lot. Give you that. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dressed as a boy and no bosom yet, but the painter has drawn a sagging shirt. Which will catch your eye because it happens to be nearby the bosom, but a bit too low, as you might notice. It's around her stomach. She's not that old. Nor is she even 15 years of age yet. So, mates would have noticed a bosom, dressed as a lad with short hair. They believe her story. A lad looking for some work. Welcome aboard, cabin boy.
Yeah.
So now,
okay.
she's got herself a job and the maids don't realise the bad luck, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Likely story, and a lot of girls done the same. You will know how many.
Right.
Right.
They never got found out with the majority. And you saw a few, of course, who did.
Yeah.
So, nothing else, eh? Nothing about these here pirates either?
We didn't get a chance to look at
You
these.
didn't?
No.
Well, then I'll have to let you to read.
Okay.
Because each one of these captains, they try to put at least one thing you've never heard about each one. Even the infamous, as he intended, most infamous pirate in history. Seems to have worked, everyone knows him. Or
Yeah.
at least by name.
Mm-hmm.
Helps when you make a name that's easy to remember, eh?
Blackbeard.
Blackbeard.
Quite unique.
Yes, it is.
So, I'll let you to figure it out. And in case you're curious, as they're slowly making these into the rope from my dad. Him.
Oh, okay.
Eventually they will all be that, they say. Fine job is made done with the splicing too. Spliced it right in. So this is the only rope that is hemp below if you want to make some knots. These be the more modern types.
Okay.
I'm trying to make some knots.
Always a change. So. How'd do.
Shell, you're not.
Oh. I didn't follow the instructions.
Alright. You just made a knot
Yeah.
that you could think of. I understand. So me mate Lieutenant Ryan, he likes to tie the bowline behind his back. Not to say that's particularly useful, but one never knows. Hey? It's a nice trick if nothing else.
Oh, nice. Tom, look.
No.
Figure eights.
Let me see.
No, you done it. That looks right.
Yes,
From
but
here.
he'll show you a trick to that one.
Oh yes. By twisting it twice, you can then make it a lot quicker.
Sometimes if
Oh,
you go
really?
like
That's
that,
good enough, right?
you get yourself a temporary knot.
Oh, okay.
If you stop or not.
But it's not one of those knots you could be pulling your hair out to try to undo. Comes undone very
Unless you
easy.
put it in your hair, then it's going to pull in your hair.
Yeah.
Aye, so you made there a very nice figure eight. Now, if you like to know the bowline knot, you can know it with a story, not just with that. That's the bowline knot that he made before.
Okay.
But really, I don't like this stuff. I need to make more of those.
Some say that's the most helpful knot you can learn on the sea.
The most important. Arguably. So would you like to know it?
Sure.
Yes.
Would you like to follow at the same time? If you like. Alright. So here you go in your left hand, palm up, make a circle round it until it looks like a number 6 with a long tail. Okay? So this should be your rabbit's home.
Okay.
Because in your right hand, you're holding the rabbit. So your rabbit, he comes up out of his home as rabbits do. They live underground after all. Seeing the bright and scary world, he runs behind the nearest tree, which is a bit dark behind it. Sun on this side where we are. And when he reaches the other side, he sees a shadow. Oh, that scares the bloody rabbit. So off he runs, never turning back into his home, and you pull him inside. Now you have made a knot.
Oh, okay.
Aye?
Alright.
And now with the story easy to remember.
Yeah.
So why is it so important? But because the harder it's pulled, the tighter the knot gets. It won't back out or move really until you're ready to remove it. A lot of knots be temporary on the ship. And this one here, simple, easy to remember, easy to remove. Especially with a story, right?
Yeah, I like the story.
Now we have it recorded, so we
Yeah.
can hear it all the time.
Therefore, you won't need one of these, which will not be on the ship anyway.
Right. Did you get these swords here?
Nice. No, I did not.
So one of them's from a bit after my day, and the other one from my time. That boarding axe is more of a primitive hatchet at this point. Trying to get the mates to bring in a boarding axe like we had.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that pistol there is not technically a blunderbuss, but it's a blunderbuss pistol. So it doesn't do what that says. That description is for this. Did you get to hold?
No.
It's a copy of the blunderbuss.
Oh, okay.
So it would be held all the way down into your hip. Okay? Okay? With two hands, of course. Throw you back quite a bit once you fired it because of all the powder.
Oh, okay.
And a dozen shots scattering out. Plus, of course, you replace this shot with bass nails and rocks and some nice.
Oh, yeah.
Don't recommend doing that. It's a bear.
Oh, okay. You want to try it?
Nah, it's okay. I'm the camera girl.
That one being a copy and all, it's about 6.5 pounds. If it were
Okay.
truly fireable, which it's not, this one probably explode if we actually tried to fire it. It would be about 8 to 9 pounds in my time. That is this particular make, which would be made by Tower for the Crown, as they would for the Armory in my day.
Okay.
Aye. There are some blunderbusses as much as 15 pounds. Depends who's making it.
Yeah, I couldn't carry that stuff
No,
all the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Would you like to hold any of the other weapons?
Sure.
What?
Yeah.
Alright then. So here we go. Pistol, much the same as this one. This one
Okay.
here though, previously able to fire, is disabled. And it's got a loose hammer, so look out for that.
Okay.
Only because when you turn it quick, it's going to hit you in the thumb.
Oh, okay.
Look at you.
This one's about 3 pounds. It is about 16 inches in length.
Nice.
So it can't be made before 1802. So I would say it's sort of a, you could call it a copy, in that they copied our day 80 years earlier, the design. But they made it modern for the time, which couldn't have been earlier than 1802.
Oh, okay.
So it was capable though of firing. If you like, you could do it again. But we haven't yet. So the mates
Okay.
on the side here, Brander and Potts, they weren't together until 1802, I'm told. Aye. So it would be held like that.
Okay.
Bringing it to full cock when you're ready to fire. So for about 10 feet, you probably hit your mark. Depending on the shot.
Okay.
And then lastly, we got the swords. That tiny one from after my day, the design that is. Whereas this here cutlass, much like we had. Aye. About 30 inches in length. It's a perfectly tiny, that is short sword for my boarding ships in my day. The shortest swords, were they? But, so this one here, and try not to hold the blade if that happens. That's actually a hanger is what we would call it. So if it were ready for battle, it would not be the weight it is, but it'd be about 2 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Aye, this one here is about 4. That's clearly not ready for battle, as I wouldn't have given you a sharp sword. I'm not taking
Nice.
chances. Eh?
Right.
Yeah.
So an English design, as it were, though I'd say stolen from the French with the hearts and all. As it has a heart-shaped guard.
Oh, okay.
Aye. And full tang running through the hilt as is needed.
Very nice.
So in around 1730s, this was a typical design for cavalry, which is perfect for us.
Well, nice.
So my friends, basic weapons. Did you want to hold any of these? Pistol, sword?
Yeah.
So it's got all the pieces. If you're interested in knowing how one of these fires, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Right? I should tell you. So, here you would put a tiny bit of powder right into that there pan. See the pan here? So this here frizzen, which I've made loose so as to move it easily, it would hold into place, hopefully keeping the powder dry. As you can see the touch hole there, when this here flint at full cock, whereas in half it would stay in place so you don't become a eunuch if you're walking around with it. Fired from there would cause a spark. This here is too soft now, would have to reharden it. But then you'd see the sparks, some of which would fall there, you only need one. Ignites the powder. In goes the fire into this here barrel. And inside the barrel you'd have put 100 grains of powder. With a small patch like my linen shirt. You'd shot over the top or rammed in with a ramrod. Which would all be done before battle.
Okay.
Therefore, bringing it to half cock, you can walk around.
Okay.
Preventing you from shooting yourself. Aye? Or becoming a eunuch, as we said.
Nice, isn't it?
But not so much in your case. So, the basic weapons. Sword. Yeah, you look awfully comfortable with that.
Watch out.
Yeah, you better say that.
What's the good right? So, if you want to read about them, I'll let you do so, right? Just little bits about each one. Maybe you'll have a new question.
Thank you.
Right.
Oh, this is the flag from the movie Pirates of the Caribbean. Flew the flag now featuring the movie Pirates of the Caribbean.
Nice.
Captured the home in Jamaica.
There's another flag right here. You have to sit. Nice, nice. Nice, nice. Okay, I get it. Okay, let me get this sign right here. Oops. Died 18th century. Blood red flag meant deadly intent.
Now, you see Mr. Blackbeard here. Have you folks heard of him?
Yeah.
A little bit about
Well,
him.
he actually never killed anybody until the last day he was alive.
Oh wow.
Oh.
If he killed anyone at all. You see, he kind of realized if people are afraid of you, they don't really try to mess with you too much. And he was actually 6.5 feet tall. Now, the average height back then was 5'5". So for most people, he's already pretty terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
But how he would amplify it, if you will, is he would take fuses for cannons and he would actually wrap them in his hair. He would light those on fire. Now, a lot of people just thought he was lighting his hair on fire. They thought, this guy's the devil. Who would ever light their hair on fire? But I'm afraid if he did do that, it would probably only work once. Lighting the fuses would make a lot of smoke, and people literally thought he was the devil. That's kind of why he has horns here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Him being a skeleton. This here is his flag representing death, holding, well, an hourglass representing your life. Now it would soon probably come to an end.
Oh wow.
Now, everything was based off of fear. When he would go to a pub, he would actually pour gunpowder in with his rum. He wanted his own crew to be terrified of him. So scary, in fact, when people realized it was his ship out on the waters, the Queen's End Revenge, he would fire a warning shot to let you know he was coming, and most people would actually surrender without a fight.
Oh wow.
I think it's pretty interesting.
And I would be out of there.
Yeah.
Hey, so any questions or thoughts after you saw that?
Just some scary flags.
Oh yes, they're quite symbolic. All of them have symbols. We'd be quite acquainted with already. Being sailors even. Like most people, I'd say in my day, already know about most of these symbols. What do you think they're all saying?
Death.
Oh yes, there's that. Certainly the ones that look like this.
Right.
Right.
Aye. He's got an earring on them too. So, what do you think maybe this one here would be saying if it were in fact Blackbeard's flag? It's only attributed to him and I've never seen it. Well, it has all symbols we're familiar with.
Like heart.
Hey, what do you think that means?
Life.
Life.
Nice work, mate. Most people guess love. Well done.
Okay.
How about this? A lot of people guess it to be a bottle of rum and wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's actually an hourglass.
Okay.
Okay.
which means
Time.
well done. And of course, you already know the symbol for death: skeleton, bones of any sort, really. But in his case, of course, that's a weapon. The devil, as he used to call himself. So that means maybe that is why they attributed it to him. So what is he saying? The time is up. Death and the devil are holding it in their hands, and they're here to take your life. Unless, of course, you surrender first.
Yeah.
I surrender.
You surrender?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is why he's able to take some ships firing only one shot at a time. Because a lot of people, even just hearing about his reputation, are already ready to surrender. And maybe you saw after that, there's no record of him having killed anyone. Funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Probably just took one look and it's like, nope,
Yep.
we're done.
Most of the time he didn't need to. Why it wasn't recorded, it's hard to tell. I'd say on the last day he probably did kill quite a few people. That is the day the Royal Navy would take their ship. But only because they boarded, that is the pirates, boarded the Royal Navy ship first. Outnumbered in that battle too. So how about any of the others? Any other questions about them? Maybe Bartholomew Roberts. Familiar with him?
No.
No.
This crew, they would take easily the most in my day, 470 ships, possibly more than that, in less than 3 years.
Wow.
And they honored the Sabbath. He enforced it himself. The only pirate I know to ever enforce the Sabbath, Roberts. So in 6 days a week, taking all those ships, he probably thought himself quite blessed, eh? Except they'd get caught. Maybe on the very last day. I'd say the day before they were going to retire. Off the coast of Africa, the Ivory Coast. Awaiting their day of retirement, or at least selling all the booty. The Royal Navy come for them. 2 ships. They mistake it for the scout ship that they had sent out. So Bartholomew Roberts, according to one story, dresses himself to the nines as he always did, especially going in a battle, looking like that there drawing, with all them ships there. So dressed here as he were, with all his finest weapons, 4 pistols, sword, likely even more jewelry than he's wearing there, and with a giant cross intended for the King of Spain, he thought himself more fitting. He would await the gunfire, they say. The first broadside from the Royal Navy would be for him. The grape shots. Down he would go, telling his crew to make sure that he was thrown overboard, that the Royal Navy wouldn't take him, wrap him in sailcloth and throw him over, losing all hope, and will to fight.
Wow.
Not to say that they could. They're bloody drunk. That's why they got caught.
Oh, yeah.
So there you have it, and the part of the code that was found, so it said 11 articles, they listed 7, the first 7 of them there, which include, by the way, some very unusual bits of the code. Those are from his vessels, by the way, not the same on every ship. In fact, I'd say outside the first article here, none of those are the same. This very first one you'd find on every ship. But then it starts to change quite a bit here. Getting a bit unusual, eh? By the time you reach the 6th article, and there might be some similar in between, but he's gotten quite strict, he's saying no boy or woman. Assuming that's the 6th one, of course, and the order might be different, eh? So why do you think he's saying no boy? We know the women might be considered bad luck. Maybe he's tired of bad luck. But why no boys, too?
Because the boy might be a woman in disguise.
Well done.
Oh.
You're good at this.
Wow. I was not thinking that at all.
Yes, a lot of people think a lot about children. Not very appealing to most pirates. However, a girl dressed as a man looks like a boy. Most of the time, unless she can grow quite a beard.
Yeah.
And I do know a girl who has a beard and hair on her chest. Impressive girl. If it wasn't for the bosom,
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't believe it. So the 11th article of his code, by the way, included that the musicians ought not to work on the Sabbath. That should be their rest as well. An
Okay.
unusual bit of the code.
Yeah.
And obviously he had more than one musician. Hard enough to get one.
Right. Want how to talk like a pirate?
I would not be good at it.
You have to ignore the misspellings too. Pirates can't spell with a lick.
You try it.
Avast.
You sound like a Dutchman. And this word, by the way, I've never heard of before. Jackie likes to use it. I say it should say scoundrel. And I'm told me that word was first used in the 1800s. That makes sense why I've never heard of it. So there you go. I say that one should be scoundrel personally. Otherwise, a few of the words, eh?
When are you from? What time period are you from?
1700s, mate.
1700s.
Sorry. Maybe you're not used to seeing So any other questions about this here? Wondering what else might not be right? Or just curious about something else you see?
I can't think of anything. I don't really know much about pirates.
Fair enough. And then you will notice that there's some officers missing here as well, but this is a majority of them officers of the crew.
Ship's captain, quartermaster, first mate, carpenter, master
Nice, missing a
gunner.
few, the bosun, for example. I don't see any mate who's gonna make us some barrels. Might have a mate doing that aboard. Cooper as well.
Yeah.
How about this? Anything here interest you more? See the bit about eye patches there?
Eye patches. The average age was 27. Thought they would
Let's
be
count
older.
the whole crew, eh?
Oh.
Most of me mates are going to be less than 25 years.
Oh wow.
Education level low. Those that could read often became captains.
However, you got the cook, he's been around forever it seems. And now that he lost a leg, well, he's got a lot of stories to tell. So he's going to help bring that age up a bit. And the captain is now reaching 40 years on some ships.
You see about the parrots? No
Parrots for
actual accounts of any
pirates?
well-known pirates keeping parrots as pets.
Oh.
Although they do get you a pretty penny if you go sell them. Certainly in the old world. And this here should actually be punch. There, I said it. Rum, water, lemon juice and sugar would be punch that we'd be searching for in the tavern, along with some bumper. So why it says grog, I'm not really sure. I'll just say some cook might have that very idea. However, we will try to save the water on the ship, adding some rum to it. Goes bad in the Caribbean real quick. Especially in a barrel sitting on the deck.
Okay.
Not that we keep all the barrels on the deck, but you know. Aye, so a bit of rum will save it from going bad.
That's cool.
Yeah, alright.
Well, it's been a pleasure then.
Thank you.
Yes.
Should you have any other ideas or thoughts, let me know.
Yes.
Pertaining to pirates or otherwise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting you.
Till next time, then.
Alright. Alright, it's supposed to be these things and then everything else. Yeah, let's see these things. It says, pick up a treasure chest. Oh, you can pick up the whole chest, okay. Shake your booty, guess from the list. Okay, gotta guess what these in here. This is either sugar, rope, or gold coins.
Gold coins.
I think gold coins, yeah. And if it flashes too, let me know.
Okay.
You do the next one. Is it either coffee beans, cloth, or medicine?
Cloth. Coffee beans.
You can hear it making noise.
Well, I thought it was a chain.
Lead shot, spices, or tea leaves?
Spices. Haha, I got it
You
right.
got it. All right.
Alright.
Did you get this?
Yeah.
Okay. And this thing?
Yeah, I got that.
All right. I want to see what that virtual thing is about.